After all these concerns about macronutrients, eating, measuring, doing exercise, and don't eat this because it's bad, don't eat that because it's even worse, and you have to eat that because it's good, but it's disgusting. So, do you want to have some pizza? Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Live Healthy Look Good. In this video, as you understand, I'm going to show you how I do my pizza. Be careful, it's not going to be simple because my pizza requires some equipment and a little bit of skills in working the dough. Okay? It's a complex thing. It's very similar to the one made in a pizza parlor. In the meantime, I anticipate I bake it on stone, even though I don't have a wooden stone, I have a gas one, which I'm not particularly happy about. But anyway, that's what I have, so that's what I'm going to use. In this oven, I basically put this stone on the griddle, and I put it on the top of the oven, and I bake pizza on it. If you don't have the stone, and you may want to use a circular tray. I've never tried it, but you can try it, of course. You can just put it on a circular tray and then just once you stretch it, you can try to do it anyway. So, this dough is made with a very few yeast and a very long raising, and it requires a particular working. So I put 1 gram of dry yeast. Why 1 gram? Because I use a dry one. If you have access to the fresh yeast, you can go for 2 grams. Okie doke. In the event that you want, you can also go for 3 grams of yeast. It depends on the temperature outside. So if it's warm, you can go for 2. If it's not warm, you can go for 1. And then you need some particular flours. In Italy, it's different. So you need to find your own flour. I'm using a strong and a very strong one in England. However, you can use a Canadian one for the very strong flour and another strong but not very strong flour combined together. The reason is that you need to obtain a very strong dough, which is a very elastic. Okay, it's called force. It needs to be a little consistent on a very long raising. So I'm going to show you now the process. I take 1 gram of this yeast, but I'm going to put all the ingredients at the end of the video. Then, after 1 gram of yeast, and in total 320 grams of flour, of which 80 grams for 2 pizzas, the Canadian one, okay? And then I add about 190 grams of water. A little quote, this pizza that I do is exactly within my daily calories and daily micronutrients. Even when I'm in a caloric deficit, I still am able to eat this one, like now, today exactly. I just do put half mozzarella, and I don't use light mozzarella cheese. Just be careful to light products. Just try to go for the full version because it's not fat, the one that usually are harmful for you, but it's salt and sugar, which is usually added instead of the fat that is removed. Not all the fats are bad, and I invite you to watch my videos from about fat here. Okay, I'm going to show you now how I do the dough. Here we are. So, first thing, you need to know that if you do it with the fresh yeast, I would recommend to do differently, but this one is with the dry one. So 1 gram of dry yeast. Now with this scaler it's almost impossible to measure 1 gram, but I know this should be 1 gram. Yes, more or less we're there. Yeah, this is 1 gram, and I leave it like that. If you do it with 1 gram of yeast, now you know that 1 gram goes for dry yeast. Okay, then I reset the scaler and I pour my 190 grams, it should be 187 to be precise. It should be warm, like your body temperature, or slightly warmer, not too warm, not incredibly hot, I would say. Let me add some cold water, in fact, because this one is a little too hot. Okay, I haven't killed the yeast, by the way, it wasn't that hot. Okay, 193 grams of water. Then I just mix it. You need to blend it with the water till it melts down. But instead, if you have the fresh yeast, I would recommend to do it in a completely different way. First, you pour the whole water. Then I also add salt. I don't add salt, but you can, but you will need to put it later. I'm going to tell you when. Up to 10 grams of salt, but not now. Anyway, now, if you have the fresh yeast, you won't put the yeast in there. You would just put the whole water and half of the flour. It doesn't matter which one of the two flours. You can also already have them mixed, so it really doesn't matter. And leave it there for 30 minutes once you mix it well and cover with some plastic wrap. Then, after 30 minutes, you put it on the kneading machine and add the remaining flour and the yeast. In that case, when the water is absorbed by the flour, you can add the salt and keep kneading so that the salt gets well mixed. Okay? This dough needs to stay about 10-15 minutes under the kneading machine because it needs to be very well refined. Now I'm going to show you my flours. This is the Allinson Very Strong, 80 grams of this. As I do for 2 people, it's 40 grams per pizza per person. And then the remaining grams to reach 320 is another type of flour, just not as strong as this one. It's a strong version. So same brand, but not very strong, just strong. Okay, let's put flour. I just forgot to move the scaler so that you can see the weight, but it's going to be 320 grams in total, with 80 the very strong one and 240 of the other one. But by the way, as I was explaining, this recipe is not healthy at all. Eating white flour is like eating refined sugar. The difference is just it's not sweet because it doesn't have any fiber, and our body absorbs it so quickly that our organism needs to get rid of such a huge amount of glucose in the blood all in once, and needs therefore a lot of insulin to do it. You can watch my videos about carbohydrates so that you know what I'm talking about, which is linked here. Okay, I just realized in the video, sorry, this is dubbed, I knew. I wasn't showing you the weight, but now you will see. I'm going to go at 320 grams of flour, nearly there, and I like to talk a lot. So yeah, this video is going to be long. As I was explaining, I don't put salt, and this would not be the time for you to put salt, okay? Because there's not so much flour, I use this A-shaped thing to knead it, and the video is of course just going at the speed because you don't really need to watch it all. Then we are here. And I must confess, it was just 7 minutes long instead of 10-15, but I see the dough is ready. If you over knead it, it becomes a little sticky like it is already right now. So yeah, never do it too much. Now I move the camera and I'll show you what happens, how it looks like. So this is the dough just made. As you can see, it's very, very refined. It's very, it's fine. There are no marks or stretches or things like that, you see. Now with the palm of your hand, you just need to work it a little bit and do a ball like this. Look at my fingers, I'm just folding the whole thing inside of itself. It's collapsing on itself, like you see. You shouldn't do this way. I'm just doing this way to show you this is the right procedure, okay? But you wouldn't see. And you need to be careful not to snatch the top, okay? While you do it, you close it on itself. You need to be careful not to snatch the top part and have it a little elastic, like you can see when you slap it. Then I'm pouring some oil on the table where I'm going to leave it to rest. You see it's dripping, and I was looking at the camera instead of looking at the oil. Then of course you spread the oil because you don't want it to be stuck. I mean the dough not to be stuck on the plane, because we don't want to use flour. We need to keep it as elastic as possible without without it to dry up. So if you put flour, it would dry up. If you surround it with oil, like I'm doing, it won't, because there is no oxygen. You see, I'm also collecting some more oil. Okay, and then you need to use some plastic wrap or a cling film, as you want to call it. Now I'm going to do it as soon as I fix the camera. And I'm collecting it. In Italy we call it cellophane. I think it's cling or cling film or plastic wrap probably, but I think you understood what I'm talking about. This one, you see? Look at this. This is the method, okay? Just avoid any air to be able to pass through, so you need to make sure it's closing all the edges, so that it needs to get stuck on the oil. And once it's done, you need to cover it with a towel, like the one I'm collecting at the moment. Yep, this one here. And now it needs to rest for about 5 hours. Okay, 5 hours have passed, and now I'm going to separate this thing into two little balls, which will become the pizza later. In a pizza parlor, they would do differently than this. They would do it after 2 hours, not 5. But I had what I can call a happy accident, maybe due to the fact that I don't use the same flour, but this one works better with this flour. So after 5 hours, works fine for me. It's not the best dough I made, to be honest. It usually raises up weighs more. Then you need to halve it. You see, despite the oil, it was a little stuck on the surface, not too much, but a little bit. Then I will measure, because I'm a maniac and I want it to be exactly half of the weight, so 250 grams for the first one. The second one will be more, because usually it's more. Usually it's 254 each. Yeah, you see, 258. So I need to get rid of some. 256, 55, and then yeah, more or less that's precise enough for me and my wife. Okay, now I have put some oil in these how are they called, Tupperwares? I don't know, these containers, hermetic containers. Now we're going to do exactly the same procedure that we did at the end of the kneading process, but this one needs to be done really carefully. In this case, you really don't want to snatch the top of the ball that you are making while you're collapsing it on itself, okay? Be very careful, that's very important, okay? Then you close it by pushing the bottom. There is oil, as you can see. Closed, no oxygen anymore. Now, let's do exactly the same process with the second piece. And again, this is a really difficult step. You may want to practice a little bit. It needs to become really strong. It needs to become very elastic once it's done, but it doesn't have to snatch, so it's really difficult. But anyway, it's done. You need to practice. There's no other way for you to do it. And now the phase is done. I'll see you in 1.5 hours. And here we are 1.5 hours later. So I've already put the flour on the table. These two guys now have been resting for 1.5 hours, 2 hours roughly between these two. It's they didn't really raise, but they just been resting, because by resting they become more elastic and they allow stretchability. Every time you work the dough, it becomes more stiff, and then if it rests, it's more workable because you need to stretch it. And it's exactly what I'm going to do. So I stretch it in a probably difficult way, and despite today it's not really the best pizza I've made, but anyway, you need to pour it on the table, and this is difficult as well. You need to keep the round shape, and it's stuck in here. Yeah, I think I've been kneading it too much in this case, but yeah, you need to let it go down and allow it to keep the round shape as much as possible. Okay, you see, it got stuck on my fingers. This is wrong, and this is why I need to use this much flour. You should try to use not very much, but in this case there's no other way. So yeah, and yeah, once you collect all the flour, that is no longer sticky, and there are some crumbs of the previous recipe, the bread, that I link here. And yeah, there are more crumbs. So there we are. Now I'm going to show you how I stretch it. You need to throw it from one hand to another by twisting it about 90 degrees every time. It's not mandatory, you can do it as well on the table by doing this, you see. But if you can, just throw it, because this dough, it's exactly the purpose of making it this way. It's becoming really elastic with this process, this working. Now I'm going to take some baking paper, because I want to protect the baking stone, because if something rips on the baking stone, you cannot wash it very easily. So I want to protect it, and I do protect it with baking paper. And I have to do it without you to see me, because there is no room for both things, and I just throw it on the baking paper. There it is. And now it's just a matter of topping it, which I will do in an accelerated fashion if I don't have anything else to say. But actually I do have something to say. This tomato sauce, I also made it. Okay? I do it with a Thermomix, Bimby, I don't know how you call it. I take just tomatoes. I don't use bio tomatoes, because they're very expensive and it's a shame to use them just for tomato sauce. I may show you one day the process, but then anyway, I wanted to mention that even my tomato sauce is homemade. And so now, because there's not much to be said, I am speeding up the video. Yeah, once I finish with the tomato sauce, I put some zucchini or courgettes, as you prefer to call them, and then some eggplants or aubergines, as you prefer to call them. I grill them all, and then some roasted peppers. In this case, it's a yellow pepper. And after that, some of my biologic tomatoes. These are biologic cherries tomatoes. Again, I sometimes do put some biologic stuff in my pizza, well, everything except for the tomato sauce, basically. Then the onions and the mushrooms, and finally, also some peppers. They're not spicy, unfortunately, because I love hot food. And then the mozzarella. And now it's going to stay in the oven for 14 minutes. 7 minutes, then I rotate it another 7 minutes, and once it's done, there it is. And I'm going to have it. Okay, so pizza was delicious, as I knew. As I said, it's not healthy at all, but if you have an healthy lifestyle, usually, you always eat well and are careful about what you have the majority of the time, you can also allow yourself some treats like this pizza or pancakes that I'm going to show you in another recipe, without being concerned about your cholesterol or other things, because your resistance to insulin will decrease if you do exercise regularly, and therefore, just because of that, you would have less harm than a person who doesn't train. Eating always healthy, you will nearly have problems with cholesterol or high glycemic load food, so insulin peaks, everything that we already know about nutrition. And so you can allow yourself some treats, but be careful. I want you to know I eat pizza twice a week, along with the pancakes. And they are made with white flour. This week in particular, I had them 3 times. So for 3 days, I had white flours, and I'm still alive. The ingredients are here, and there they are. The preparation is done. If you want me to do a video with a simpler pizza to be done, just please answer to the poll on the top of the right corner here, and then I will decide according to your response. What else can I say? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you enjoyed, please like it and subscribe, and also click the ring bell so that you get notifications whenever I do a new video. And thanks for watching. See you next time. I will hopefully talk about the micronutrients again, but I'm not completely sure, so let's see what happens. Bye!